Before we begin, we want to acknowledge that today's conversation explores themes around drug use and darker emotional material. While we approach this from both a psychological and musical perspective, we understand these topics can be confronting or triggering for some listeners. Your well-being comes first. Feel free to pause, skip, or return to this episode when it feels right for you. And remember, there is always help and support available.
G'day, Mo.
G'day, AJ. Hi, how are you? Happy New Year 2026 coming at ya.
Happy New Year. Yeah. Can you believe that we've been doing this for almost a year
I know,
already?
It's nearly our 1 year anniversary coming up. I can't believe it. Well, I can believe it because I was there. But
You're just a figment of our imaginations. Am I just talking to myself and you're just like a voice in my
Maybe.
head that I think that I'm talking to someone?
Is that diagnosable? Hey? I don't know. I should know, shouldn't I, if that is diagnosed?
Yeah, you should know. Yeah, that's
I
right.
should know, yeah.
Wouldn't one just call that schizophrenia?
Well, yes, when you hear voices, we might call that a positive sign of schizophrenia. That is, when you have perceptual changes and you start hearing things. But I'm not going to go too much in it because one thing I've learned throughout 2025 is that Sideline Sally gets a little bit salty if we don't introduce the episode towards the front of the episode if we don't get on that introduction quick sticks. So I'm going to say, welcome to another episode of Songs on the Couch.
Sitting down, we're talking out, breaking it down, songs on the couch. Music and minds will figure it out, laughing and learning what it's all about. On the couch.
Welcome. Here we are. Yes.
Yeah.
So getting back to the schizophrenia question.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, I think that I'm a real person and not a figment
Okay.
of you're not.
That's good.
A figment of a perceptual
We're
change.
real. We're here. We're in 2026. It's all real.
Pinch,
It's
pinch,
all
pinch,
happening.
pinch. That's
Yeah.
us. Yeah. We are here. And so, we've got to really,
Hey. 2026 coming deeper, starting deep, isn't it?
we're getting real soon, aren't we?
But you know what? I'm excited because this is a favorite of mine.
Is it? Well, why don't you tell the good people, AJ, what are we bringing over to the couch today?
We are doing Alice in Chains. Wood? Question mark.
Wood. Oh,
Not wood. Wood.
wood with a U and an L.
And an L and a D.
And a D. Yeah. I mean, taking us back to the early 90s. I was saying to you...
92.
92. I was saying to you earlier, before we started the episode, that I was really feeling chipper. I was feeling tippity top. I was feeling rays of sunshine within my soul before I started preparing for the episode today and listening to that song. And
It's drudgy. it's like you're trying to swim through sludge.
it really got me in the feels. But there's something also interesting, and because we're a bit old and the 90s was sort of our youth, well, my youth.
I wasn't old enough to listen to that song yet, but I am a 90s baby. I'm actually an 80s baby, but grew up in the 90s.
Right. Well,
properly.
right. Okay, you're an 80s you're an 80s baby and grew up in the 90s. Well, I'm a 70s baby and I grew up in the 80s and was a young adult in the 90s. And I got to tell you,
You were like peak age when this
Yeah.
when, like grunge hit the scene, because you would have been like the same age as all the grunge artists.
yeah. Oh, I was probably a little bit younger, but I reckon, 92, that was, I was still in high school, but I think that was just kind of like the real start of grunge in Australia taking off. I'm sure it was like a bit more entrenched in the US, but in Australia,
Yeah.
I remember it kind of like 93, and I am deep in uni share housing. I've actually got drug addict housemates. Like,
wow.
yeah, I'm like sharing a house with people who use heroin. And roll out of bed and smoke bongs every day.
Yeah.
Not this guy, but the others that I lived with.
Yeah.
So yeah, I saw addiction, in my
In the
adolescence,
thick
in
of
the
it.
thick of
You're
it.
in the thick of it.
Yeah. So
While hearing it on the radio as well.
while hearing it, yep, that's what happened. That's what happened. I have distinct memories of around my high school graduation and everyone sort of, that summertime between everyone moving off into different spaces, and you kind of like, I don't know where my friends are at. I got no friends, especially in the 90s, because in the 90s we didn't have mobile phones then. If you rang a house phone
Yes.
and nobody answered, you're on your
They went
They
home.
weren't home. You're on your lonesome.
Yeah.
You didn't know where they were. You couldn't sort it out to go and meet them somewhere. You were just
No,
on your
couldn't message them on Facebook.
couldn't message them.
Couldn't even text. Texting wasn't even around
No
then.
texting, mate. So you were on your
Oh.
own for the day, and I just
Yeah.
remember that period being the soundtrack of that period being like Pearl Jam and Soundgarden. And so really what I'm getting at, and I don't know what the psychological construct is, maybe it's reminiscence, or this deep sort of feeling that you get when you're transported back somewhere through music. And what I'm trying to get at in a very lengthy way, sorry listeners, sorry AJ, I bang on a bit.
It's all right. It's all right.
But
Go
in a
for it.
very lengthy way, it took me back there, and it kind of took me back to,
Did you like smell? Like your senses were heightened. Like you could smell.
I could smell.
You could remember the smell.
I could
see things.
I could smell the Nag Champa incense. I could smell the
yeah.
flannelette shirts. I could smell greasy boy hair, because everyone was growing their hair long.
And like that part
In the
like,
middle.
in the middle, and then there was like combed over on either side.
That's right.
Yeah, it was like a bowl cut almost.
And you could smoke in every venue, so I could smell cigarette stained or cigarette smell stained clothing.
Yeah.
Like, and my housemates passed out on the couch. It conjured up a lot of memories for me, and it left me with a feeling. And so that feeling, I think, for people it's often stuck in adolescence. I think songs probably have the most meaning and impact for us in adolescence. And if we look back to the songs that were, becoming popular, or the genres that were popular in our adolescence, it can conjure up a feeling. And yeah, I don't know what that feeling is. I should know, because I deal with feelings every day.
See, my adolescence was like the early 2000s, like late 90s, early 2000s. So like my adolescent soundtrack is like soundtracks from like, like those teen movies of the 2000s.
Right.
10 Things I Hate About You, like all those, American Pie, Loser, like all those.
Of course.
types of songs.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
you're,
That's what I remember high
you're
school as. 'Cause
teenage dirtbag, you're
yeah,
Wheatus,
yeah.
you're,
Yeah,
okay. See, for me, it was.
Because in high school, all us kids back that were like, that's what we thought that high school was about, like seeing those movies.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
then that was our soundtrack.
And so for us, the movies were things like singles that this song is from the soundtrack of, and Reality Bites, and other movies.
What a cracker album though. That's got to be one of the top
Yeah.
soundtracks of like albums you have to listen to like Before You Die in the soundtrack
Yeah.
genre.
I don't remember the movie being that great. I just remember it being like, yeah, obviously it's called Singles. I just remember it was like people with a lot of attachment issues not being able to connect and get it together. People with a lot of commitment and attachment issues wanting freedom but having longing. So I don't remember the movie being that great, but the soundtrack certainly was a launching pad for, like launching these kind of underground Seattle grunge bands into the mainstream, like Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Screaming Trees and but you're the guy with the interesting tidbits, so I'm not gonna step on toes. I'm not gonna step on toes.
that's right.
I'm gonna floor's all yours, mate. So yeah, I'll wrap that up by saying it created a feeling, team. So if you're a 70s child like me and your adolescence was in the early 90s, then you're gonna feel some things when you go back and listen to this music.
Listen to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you probably already know the interesting tidbits that AJ's about to tell you because you were of the era. But for those who weren't and those who have picked up Alice in Chains later in the decades and who want to know a bit more, AJ, it's time for your interesting tidbits. Yeah.
Well, this is more of a history lesson than interesting tidbits, I'd say.
Go ahead.
This is like a history of grunge and how this song came about, and I guess what happened after the song as well. So it's very, very, very interesting and how everything formed.
Tell me.
So let's start.
Yeah.
Alice in Chains. This song came out in '92, which we talked about.
Yeah.
Was originally written for the Singles movie soundtrack, and then obviously put on their second album, Dirt. Written by Jerry Cantrell, who's the guitarist slash we'll call him backup singer. Well, he is a main singer. Him and Layne Staley, they were both lead singers, but they also sang harmonies together.
Right. But I think because Layne Staley didn't have an instrument in front of him, he was kind of like posited as the lead singer. Yeah.
But their harmonies, amazing,
aren't they?
Like Layne had this. It's hard to. It's a one of a kind voice, a little bit Kurt Cobain-ish, especially when he'd kind of sing a little bit in the metal side of things, because they weren't really a grunge band as like what we think like Nirvana or Pearl Jam. They were more alternative metal slash grunge. They were like a metal band but dressed grunge.
Right. Okay. So they didn't
Yeah.
quite fit into the
grunge
mold.
No, the grunge music mold. But Layne had a voice that it was like one of those one of a kind voices that can't, like, like Freddie Mercury or like Jim Morrison. It's just a really unique voice that can't be copied.
Yeah. There's such beauty and pain in his voice.
There is.
Yeah.
So Wood,
Yeah.
with a question mark,
Yeah.
was written by Jerry Cantrell. So Jerry's the lead guitarist. And it's quite funny because if you know the history of Alice in Chains, Layne, the lead singer, suffered from heroin addiction throughout all of his life, pretty much, or early 20s till his death in 2002. And this song is about drug addiction, specifically heroin, but this song is a tribute to Andrew Wood, who is a frontman of a band called Mother Love Bone, who died of a heroin overdose in the 1990. And Andrew was a close friend of Cantrell. And Andrew and Cantrell played in Andrew's band, being Mother Love Bone.
Right. Okay, so Jerry Cantrell is watching Andrew Wood's addiction, and he is so moved by what he sees about it that he writes this song.
Yeah, because they were so close. He was like deeply affected by Andrew's death of the heroin overdose.
Right.
So so he wrote this song.
Yeah.
As kind of like an homage to Andrew, but also not like an awareness song, but just to say like, drugs are real. Like shit's real, man. Like
Yeah.
we're not gonna powder coat that drugs are like let's go take drugs and party. It can really f you up.
Yeah, and I think he was sort of what he was observing was something around the emotional and mental struggle that Andrew Wood was experiencing in this addiction and kind of observing something deeper than the surface of just addiction, right?
Yeah, that's
Looking
right.
at the, in kind of like a layman's perspective, looking at the emotional and mental origins and toll and all that stuff that kind of happens with addiction. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's it.
so many of the young men of that era experienced, heroin addiction and all kind, polydrug addiction. Like, I read the book
I think.
from
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Go.
Well, this is a shout out actually to my good friend.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is a shout out to my good friend Lee, who is a grunge metalhead from way back.
Yeah.
I love Lee dearly, and she has a thing for what's his name? Oh, Pete from Typo Negative. I think he's passed on too. I think he died.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, she's a big Typo Negative fan. If you don't know them, team, look them up. I've actually never
Yep.
really heard any of their music. I don't think
I've heard of them. I know of
I
them,
know
but I've
of
never heard
them,
their
yeah.
music.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so, but because she's a big fan of the era and this, bands around this era, she gave me the memoir of Mark Lanigan from the Screaming Trees to read. And yeah, he talks about, his relationship with Layne Staley and, like all of the drug addled adventures and, copping drugs together and doing drugs together and just all of the messed up stuff that they got up to. And so it's really kind of ironic that this song is about Andrew Wood and his demise from heroin addiction when Layne Staley is deep in it.
Well, yeah, and
Yeah.
as well as Kurt Cobain, because Kurt was also a massive heroin user as well.
That's right. Yeah. So
Yeah,
the
I think like heroin of the '90s was like cocaine of the '70s. It was like the popular drug of the '90s, heroin, where like cocaine was like the popular drug of like everyone was doing
Yeah.
coke in the '70s.
yeah, and everyone
Everyone was.
and it's come back around again. Everyone's doing speed and coke and meth in the now.
Yeah,
Look, yeah, I don't know. I don't know the stats of what people are using, but drugs have always been a thing.
it has.
Drugs have always been a thing. So yeah, that's the cruel irony is that the song that Layne was singing was about someone's demise from heroin addiction, and he was deep in addiction himself. And
Yeah,
yeah,
but if we look at the bright side of things, if Mother Love Bone hadn't disbanded when Andrew died, we wouldn't have Pearl Jam. Because we in Mother Love Bone we had Chris Cornell, who Soundgarden formed in '84, so they were already well established. Jerry Cantrell then went and formed Alice in Chains after Mother Love Bone, and then Stone Gossard and Jeff Ament, who were the guitarist and bass player, then formed Pearl Jam.
right.
So we wouldn't have them if we didn't have the loss of Andrew, because then the band wouldn't have disbanded, and the other members wouldn't have gone on and created their own bands.
Right. Okay. So, his existence and, his demise he was the glue that held that band together, it sounds like. And so they disbanded.
They disbanded.
They disbanded into and moving into other projects that were very popular.
Very, very popular. Yeah.
Wow.
So Chris Cornell wrote a tribute album which was Temple of the Dog.
That's right. And a song called Hunger
yeah.
Strike. Is that what it was?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And how do I know this? Okay, here's a big shout out.
Oh, here we
I got
go.
another shout out. I got another shout out to my first boyfriend, Cam. Might send you this, mate. Um, I don't think I've spoken to Cam in about 10 years. But anyway, mate, if you're out there, you exposed me to all of this music. He used to buy zines. He used to go to these little, like, tiny little record shops and, like, trawl the racks of, CDs and vinyl and tapes and he would like buy up all the zines and he would listen to all of the underground stuff, and we'd go to all these gigs in Brisbane, which and I think for a bit of it we were still underage, because I think we started going out when we were like 15. So we would, sometimes go to like local, grunge gigs.
Dive bars.
Yeah, like little dive bars, and I had a fake ID. And mate, this is my adolescence and my youth. So
you rebel you.
So when my children sneak off, I can't.
You can't.
I'll be
you can't name and shame.
No, I can't be
You're
name
like,
and shame. I'll be a hypocrite. But yeah,
can't call the kettle black. Yeah.
no. And we went to a gig. We went to a gig in Brisbane where we saw early Spiderbait, and Fugazi.
Yeah. Cool.
That was like 94, maybe 93, 94. Anyway, big shout out to Cam. That's how I kind of
Thanks,
Cam. Big shout out to Cam. That's how I sort of got into this music. He exposed me to this music, and but then I was much more a bit of the folk fringes of this stuff. Like I then developed my own taste in things where I liked, the Lemonheads, Evan Dando from the Lemonheads, and, Juliana Hatfield, and then some Australian stuff like Scream Feeder, and I mean, it's just taking me back to my youth. But big shout out to Cam. Thanks, mate. Thanks for the exposure. And I remember us staying up watching Rage, which for the international listeners was like our kind of MTV, but we only had it on a Saturday night.
They used to do Friday night and Saturday. I feel like Friday night was like the all upcoming releases, and then the Saturday night was like they used to play like old stuff, or it was the other way around. They used to do 2 nights. One where they play like classics, and then one night where they play all the current new stuff
and
that was
the
coming
experimental stuff coming up. Yeah. So that used to like start playing from about midnight through
midnight
through to like 9 a.m. But from about 7 a.m. they'd start with the top 40.
That's right.
Yeah.
So you had to like get up at like 2-3 o'clock in the morning if you wanted to. I remember because and they used to do like segments where they'd play like 6 or 7 songs of just one band. Because I remember getting up and recording a Metallica session at like 2-3 in the morning to get like all these like, because back then YouTube. So if you wanted to watch like Metallica, like their film clips, you had to like record like, and they'd show like 6 or 7 of their film clips.
And then
like a row.
That's right. And then they had guest programmers. Right.
Yeah,
so like they'd get in, any international acts that were touring, like, and it was mostly alternative stuff. There was very little mainstream artists who were guest programmers on this thing. So yeah. And I'm sure our international listeners, might have, I don't know, come across Rage guest programming segments on YouTube somewhere. I'm sure someone's probably uploaded, seen their.
I'm sure the ABC or Triple J have.
Yeah, but you know how they limit it to your country?
Yeah.
Like, which is, a bit crap. But anyway, so I remember us watching all of this stuff on Rage and like, seeing that Temple of the Dog song, that Hunger Strike song, and I was there, man. I've been to Nam. I was there.
You don't know, man. I was there.
I was there.
I was in the thick of it.
And I think I probably had a flannel shirt too.
And some Doc Martens.
Yes, mate. Yes, I had some
Ripped jeans, flannel shirt, Doc Martens.
But the best Doc Martens that you could get were the ones from the op shop, which I don't know what our international listeners would call the op shop, but
a thrift store.
the thrift store. That's right. The Goodwill. Because if you found a pair of used Doc Martens in your size, you didn't have to break them in.
That's true. Yeah. They were already nice and comfy.
That's it. You just slip them on your feet and you are good to go. No blisters for you, my friend. So that was the 90s hot tip. Was scour the op shops. Sometimes
But even now, scour if you're a Doc Martens wearer, still scour the op shops now.
The op shops.
Because they'll be extra worn in.
They'll be extra worn in, yeah.
And they last. Doc Martens last ages. Like they don't wear out. Like they're like a cockroach. You can't kill them. They just never die.
They're the best. They're really good. And I think we used to go regional too on our op shop hunts. We used to drive to regional towns to.
The small towns had the best stuff.
Small towns. In my 1974 poo brown Toyota Corona.
Lovely. Corona, yeah.
Corona. It was a Corona. It was automatic and it had aircon and she went like the clappers.
No electric windows. You had to.
Oh no, it was the winding windows.
Yeah, good old wind down. Yeah.
The wind down windows. Yeah. So that's my story of the 90s. I just overtook that. Sorry, mate. Where did we get up to?
It's a nice memory. It's a nice memory trip because I remember we had a yellow canary Toyota Corona.
Did ya?
It was yellow.
I remember the cut. It was a mustard yellow too, wasn't it?
It was like, really yellowy.
Yeah, I remember.
We didn't have aircon in ours. We didn't get that luxury of air conditioning.
Did you have the vinyl seats that used to burn the back of your legs when you... Kids today won't know the pain, AJ.
My nan had a Datsun 180B that had leather seats and she used to live near the beach. So on hot days, forget about it. You have to remember to put your towel.
Take a towel.
Your wet towel.
Yeah, take a towel or you are sizzling.
Yeah.
Kids today won't know the pain. They just won't know the pain. No.
They won't.
No, they've got push button starts.
That's right. And everything electric. Oh, my seat's hot. I'll just put it on cool. Oh, I'm a bit cold. I'll just put it on heat.
Right.
Yeah.
Lucky ducks. Anyway, more interesting tidbits? Anything?
Well,
go.
let's talk about Layne now. So,
Layne.
Poor Layne. So, obviously, he's been in the thick of the heroin addiction pretty much since the start of Alice in Chains, and there's not one to shy away from it. You can see it. Probably the most famous would be Alice in Chains Unplugged, MTV Unplugged, with where he's wearing the sunglasses, you're completely out of it. And if you watch the documentary on that, they talk about how hard it was just to get that concert together and the complications and all behind it. But in 1996, Layne's fiance, she passed away from complications related to drug use, which devastated him. And after that, he just became an absolute hermit, just became a ghost, and then obviously died in April 5th of 2002 at the age of 34. So didn't join the 27 Club, but he died on the exact same day as Kurt Cobain did on April 5th, 2002, and Kurt's was April 5th, 1994.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So didn't join because if you don't know what the 27 Club is, the 27 Club is pretty much most famous musicians. They all died at 27.
Yeah. Jimi Hendrix,
Janis Joplin,
Amy Winehouse.
Jim Morrison. He was 27. Kurt Cobain was 27.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
as a musician, I was very happy to make it past 27.
Right? Right?
I was like, yeah, well, I'm not famous. Maybe I wasn't famous
Yeah.
enough. I was like, I'm not making it big.
Yeah.
I'm hit 28. Okay, I'm okay.
You're
I'm all
okay.
right.
What? So you got to have a certain level of fame to hit.
You
You
must.
must to hit the 20.
You must.
The 27 club, right? I didn't know that he lived that long. I didn't know that he made it to his 30s. Actually, yeah.
A lot of people thought that too, because he just by the late 90s he just
Disappeared.
digressed, just disappeared, but still
Yeah.
heavily
Yeah.
consumed in heroin. Which when he died, they found his body 2 weeks later. So that's how much of a ghost he was and a recluse he was. Like no one knew where he was or what he was doing or what, which is very sad.
Yeah, because in some ways, this song is a bit of a self-fulfilling prophecy for him too, right? Because it is a song. Oh, should I get into it? More tidbits?
Get into it. No, let's talk about it. I think we're not bored, but I think we're drudging people down. I feel bad this episode. If you feel heavy now, just wait till you talk about the psychology side of things.
Yeah. Look,
But goddamn, it's a good
it's
song.
a
I'm just
great
like-
song. It creates such a feeling. I think the feeling is like it's harrowing. I mean, I think I need to look up that word because, it's distressing. It creates an acute distress inside of us. It creates an emptiness and a sadness and kind of a longing, really, or it kind of strips you of hope. It's hopelessness. It's drop D, man. That tuning is gonna.
That's it.
It's gonna.
That's heavy tuning.
That tuning is gonna take me down every time.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay. So let's talk about addiction, right? Like,
Let's talk about it.
let's talk about addiction.
And addiction is not just drug addiction. Like
Oh yeah.
you can be addicted to anything.
Oh yeah.
Sugar.
Yeah.
Well, that's a
Yeah.
legal drug. Sugar.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it,
Yeah.
and how addictive is sugar?
Yeah. And
You could be addicted to ice cream. Like
and there's degrees of addiction as well, I suppose, because we're gonna if when we look at it, we're looking at harm really. So while sugar's not great,
the unhealthy addiction.
yeah, while sugar's not great for your health and that, you certainly can experience some of the hallmarks of addiction, which are craving, which is the reward center on your brain screaming out. It's pinging to be satisfied. It's like, I need,
Eat chocolate.
yeah. So it's craving. And then, when, and we're kind of looking at it in degrees of distress and impairment. Like, how distressing is it for you to crave ice cream? Probably not that distressing. It's not gonna,
No.
no. But how distressing is it for you to crave heroin? It's probably a bit more distressing because with heroin, with the craving, there is withdrawal as well. There's withdrawal symptoms. So,
And we miss that withdrawal. Like, oh,
yeah.
probably I could just have that again. Like, why
Right.
do I have to stop now?
But ice cream withdrawal and heroin withdrawal are probably, in degrees of distressing. Heroin is probably way
100%.
more distressing than ice cream. So you've got also physiological symptoms of withdrawal from heroin. You're not going to get physiological symptoms. It's probably going to be much more cognitive and psychological, like it's going to be in your brain, right? It's not going to be in your body. Whereas heroin withdrawal creates, a sickness. They call it like being dope sick, right? Being dope sick is, where you can't regulate your temperature. You feel nauseous, you vomit, you sweat. That's what opioid withdrawal does to you. It creates this sort of package of physiological symptoms that are very distressing and impairing. You can't function when you're experiencing those kinds of symptoms. So it's it's a really tough addiction. There's also another feature of addiction, not just heroin, but all addictions. It's wanting and needing the substance in the absence of liking it. You start off liking it, you start off, liking the high, but then it starts to turn on you. You start to feel a lot of shame about your use. You start to I don't know, you don't really like what you're doing. It becomes, I think we've talked about this thing before in our podcast, but I'll say it again. There's when it becomes a defense, right? It's a defense against your feelings, right? It creates shame that you're doing it. It creates guilt, but then you use it to push those feelings away. It's an escape from feelings is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so there's this kind of transaction that constantly happens in your psyche about wanting it and needing it, kind of liking escaping the feelings, but not really liking it, knowing it's not good for you. And we call that, like, when it's ego dystonic. It starts to become like a feature of your psyche that sits outside of yourself that you don't like and you can't integrate. Whereas something's...
And
Yeah.
well, I was going to say, and Layne never glamorized his addiction, but he also didn't hide it. And he wrote, apart from Wood, there was like, you had Junkhead, you had Dirt, you had Godsmack, you had Hate to Feel. Like, so they were writing heaps of songs about heroin while he was still actively using. So not in recovery, not in hindsight.
Yeah.
It just...
Yeah. So there is a sense that he's turned on it, There's a sense that he really has a disdain for it, but it's got its hooks into him, And really what's got its hooks into him is emotional pain. I think in the early days, when you start to use heroin, you start to use it recreationally, you like the high. Yeah, and you like the buzz and the feeling, but then I think you start to know that you are chasing a high that you're never going to get again, chasing the dragon, and that that it's a monkey on your back now, and that you've got to keep using it to stave off the physiological symptoms, but also stave off that mental gymnastics, that mental and emotional gymnastics that you've constantly got to do when you are deep in it and you're like feeling guilty and shameful, but you don't want to feel those feelings. So you've got to chase it. And drug addiction at this level is like a full-time job, right? It's actually
sounds like it.
It's a very good way to keep away your feelings, because what you're doing is you're filling your mind with these mental gymnastics. You're waking up in the morning and you feel dope sick, right? So you are thinking about, okay, I've got a cop. I've got to go and find drugs, right? Because I know that I'm going to feel dope sick. I've got to stave off that feeling. But how am I going to get that? How am I going to get the money to get that? What do I have to engage in to get the money to get that? So all the while you're actually just problem solving, scheming, you're working, right? You're trying to get the money, and then you're like, okay, so I got to find a dealer. Right? I know that my dealer that I spoke to yesterday wasn't getting any till Thursday, and today's Tuesday. So I've got to, I've got to find someone to, source the drugs, right? And then I got to figure out, where am I going to meet them? How am I going to get there? I got to look at the train timetable. I've got
far out. Yeah.
It's a whole process. I mean, I guess when you've got a bit of money in the bank, and maybe like Layne Staley did at some point.
Living off royalties.
Yeah, when you've got a bit of money in the bank, you can get a dealer that keeps you hooked up. But you've still got to make the call. You've still got to, get to the bank, withdraw the money, because, no one's making account transactions in those days.
No one's saying, "Can you Venmo me or just
No.
PayPal me?"
No
no
one's
that.
saying that. No one's saying that.
Nah.
So, yeah. So, anyway, I just wanted to give the listeners like a bit of an overview, of addiction and some of the, what you've got to do, or what happens, the process of addiction when you're deep in it, and what you're fighting against. I think ultimately, and what this song is about, is you are fighting against shame. I think shame, this song in particular, is really about core shame. It's really about like shame being someone's identity. And when we were doing our research for this, I did a little bit of digging about, what Jerry Cantrell was kind of like trying to get to when he was talking about Andrew Wood. And he, sort of said that he really had a disdain for people who judged other people. And he really just really wanted to understand Andrew. And he understood that Andrew was getting judged, but he could see beyond the addiction to the origins underneath it and
The psychology
behind it. Yeah. And I think, what he saw in Andrew Wood is what we see in Layne Staley as we watch his demise. We see someone who is so filled with core shame, and core shame is like not, I feel bad about what I've done. It's I feel bad about who I am. And then, when we use heroin and when we're using heroin and we, mess shit up with our friends and our family and our finances and our living situation, that all just piles on shame, perpetuates it and entrenches it like a whole lot deeper. Yeah. So,
And it's amazing that he was high, but was still able to sing and perform and still hit all the notes of his vocal range.
yeah.
Like,
What a gift.
Imagine. No, right? Oh, it's the same with Kurt. Like, he the exact same thing. It's amazing. Like you were saying, like they're even though they're under the influence, they're still thinking so much, and there's still so much going on in the background.
Yeah.
Like to be able to cope and be on a high and still be aware of your surroundings and that what you have to sing and how to sing it is pretty.
Yeah.
Like I'm not saying it's like
We're
great,
not
but
condoning it, but
not condoning it, but like,
it really does it really probably does take a lot to hold it together when you are so drug affected.
He'd probably coming off the stage, it'd just be like complete crash because he'd be on this mental high of like trying to remember and think and like be in time, be in tune, and then
Well, it's very interesting you say that, because what can happen is there's a conditioned response that users can experience. So when they know that they're about to have a hit, right?
yeah.
Their body starts to flood it with like defenses to kind of keep it at bay.
Slow the release down.
Yeah,
like,
that's right. So they start to have this conditioned response. Now, when people die from heroin overdose, often it is a failure of tolerance. So the more heroin you use, the more you need to use to get a high, right?
yeah, right. Yeah. Because you become immune to it essentially.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So when you're taking heroin in kind of a, and not just heroin, but other drugs as well, in a kind of a known environment or a familiar environment or with familiar people, right? So, if we think about it, like Layne's got all of his musician friends around him. He's probably like, going into a different bathroom, but his mind knows that his people are out there. Right? So
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So his body starts flooding with defenses needed to tolerate what's coming in, right? To not kill him. Yeah. Yeah. Because, heroin, opioids are what is it? They arrest your breathing.
Yeah, they break down they essentially break down your body.
Yeah, they slow down your breathing, and then that slows down your
Yeah.
heart rate, and then that's how people die, is they stop breathing. So failure of tolerance is that when you take heroin in a new environment where your people aren't at, right? Or you're in a different, lounge room, different country, different, and you don't have your defenses out there, like your people, or the same couch, or the conditioned response doesn't come in, and so your tolerance fails and you overdose, you take too much.
Of course,
even
yeah.
even though you're taking the same amount, your body's defenses don't start flooding in. And I don't really know the technical stuff because I'm a
Doctor or
therapist. I'm not a doctor. I don't really
yeah,
know what the chemicals are or the hormones are. But
sure.
anyway, so that's how people die. And so I don't know how I got onto that. We're talking about failure of tolerance, but I was talking about shame, really.
Shame.
I was talking about shame, and this is the big psychological theme here about that core shame about, I feel so bad about who I am that I want to stay as far away from me as possible. I can't look at myself and I can't have other people see me. And so if we look at this, the lyrical dissection of this, I mean, it all starts with the birth of the shame. He says, and I know that this isn't Layne Staley, but it's just something a bit cosmic that Jerry's written this about Andrew, but it could also be related to
Interpreted. Yeah.
interpreted, yeah.
Which a lot of people thought that what was song was originally about. It was to do with Layne, but no. Yeah.
No, but I think Jerry saw in Andrew, like, know me broken by my master, which really reeks of childhood trauma, right? It's like, because we aren't born with shame as people. We are not. Shame is relational. Not Shane, but shame.
No, not Shane. Well, there could be a Shane out there that's
Full of shame.
Shane.
And,
Yeah,
and,
Shane.
and Shane, if you are out there and full of shame, I would encourage.
all good.
Yeah, I would encourage. It's not all good. I mean, we accept you. That's what's all good. We accept you. You are here, but get into some therapy, mate, because that in therapy you will have a containing relationship where there is unconditional positive regard and there is no judgment, and that will help you work through your shame and help you love yourself, mate. So Shane, if you're out there and you're full of shame, go get some therapy. Anyway, I'll move on.
Close brackets.
Close brackets. So, yes, know me broken by my master. Obviously Jerry and Andrew have probably had some D&Ms, mate. Yep. They've had some deep and meaningful conversations, and Jerry is aware maybe of some childhood trauma that Andrew's experienced. And childhood trauma, it can range from just being yelled at by a parent or, being told to sit down and shut up, because that's a rejection of who we are and what we're doing, and that can create shame. So it's an internalized voice of judgment, and it's where yourself is owned by a part of you that is big and cruel and mean to you, right? Wouldn't you want to stay away from that with heroin?
100%.
Yeah.
And Layne didn't have like a bad childhood per se, but he had we'll say a disruptive childhood, but it wasn't like abusive or bad or anything like that. It was probably a bit unstable,
Yeah.
like most childhoods probably are. But yeah, that's probably could have stemmed in his late teens, early 20s.
And lots of people have unstable childhoods, right, where parents get laid off or they've got to move house or, someone does.
Separate. I think separation
If they
is probably the biggest one.
separate, yeah. And we can all endure that if the relationship with the caregiver is solid and right. If the relationship with the caregiver is loving and containing and it holds our fears and it doesn't push them away, we can all bear disruption and change. But when our caregivers are stressed and we're told to shut up and sit down and piss off, we are rejected and we start to find ourselves unbearable. And so, I think we think about a heroin user and we think about that shame, we could probably think that there's all of these old parts that are holding this rejection and they don't want to look at themselves.
Yeah.
And the lyric is, so I made a big mistake, try to see it once my way. It sounds a little bit like accountability. It sounds like, but it's not. Like there's no sort of sorry in it. There's no self-forgiveness. It's a bit of a like, if I confess to wrongdoing first, then maybe you won't punish me as much.
That's right.
And
yeah.
you can't punish me as much as I already punish myself. So, but I'm just going to try and buffer you punishing me because I just don't need any more ammo for me to punish myself. It's a bit of shame management. And I think sort of
It's kind of like judging himself before someone judges him. It's like, I made a big mistake.
yeah.
Maybe put yourself in my shoes for once.
Yeah, I made a big mistake. So, just try and see it from my perspective rather than judging me, coming down harsh on me.
Yeah.
And again, it sort of speaks to that Jerry Cantrell thing of not wanting to judge Andrew Wood, but to want to sit in a place of observation and understanding of his pain. But I think, as we sort of near the end of our episode, it would be important to kind of speak to the main line of this, which is, if I would, could you? And that's the emotional nucleus of the song, right? It's kind of,
it's unresolved. It leaves a question like you walk away like, oh,
yeah.
the song, like it's not like the song's finished, but it's not resolved.
It's not. It's not resolved. No, it's not resolved.
It didn't give me an answer.
Didn't give me an answer.
I have to go away and think about it, type of thing.
Well, my interpretation is, yes, it is something to think about. The thing to think about is like, if I would show you my full, messed up, flawed self,
Would you handle it?
could you love me? Yeah. It's a real attachment plea is what it is. It's like, if I showed you everything, would you still stay? Because if I need you to stay because my existence relies on it, I need to exist through an other. If I'm not in the mind of another, do I even exist? So if I would show you everything, the darkest parts of me, could you hack it? Could you hold it? And luckily for Andrew,
it would take a lot for a person to go, yeah, I could. Yeah,
And-
I'm here by your side. I'm here for you.
and I think that's the thing, is that Jerry could and would with Andrew. And I think that's why my friend Libby loves Jerry Cantrell too, because that kind of emotional attunement is pretty sexy.
Sure.
Sure.
He's one of the most underrated guitarists, like, of all time.
And
He's you never see him on like a top 10 greatest guitarist, but if you listen to their songs, like, holy crap, his guitar work is amazing. And
he's pretty good. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't really know much about shredding, but I will take your word for it. But I think one thing that you'll have to take my word for is that Jerry's pretty deep. Jerry's pretty kind of psychologically minded and emotionally.
He's been through it.
He's been through it. He's seen his friends go through it, and he is willing to attach and be the other that the person so filled with shame needs him to be. And I'm here for it. And thanks for suggesting this song. I hope our...
Oh, of course. I was excited when you said let's do a grunge. Let's do something from the 90s. I'm like, oh, I got one.
I got one. Well, I hope my fellow 90s adolescents and early adults
listeners,
enjoyed the reminiscence, because I sure did. Yeah. So that's my take, AJ. What do you think of that?
I like
you
it.
like it?
Oh, I feel like I need to go look at a rainbow or something. Just get some, go pat some cute puppies or.
Right. That drop D and that psychological pain and shame really gets inside you, doesn't it?
Yeah,
No wonder they all used heroin. It's it's a hell of a drug that will at first help you manage the shame and stay away with it, but then it becomes stay away from it, but then it becomes a perpetuating factor that reinforces the shame. And that ain't no way to live. So, team, if you're struggling with addiction, there is help out there, and hopefully you can find it to help you overcome it.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's always light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, there is. You just got to do the work, and the work is hard and it's confronting. So get yourself a good therapist who can hold you through it.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, let's go look at frolicking kittens, and for me it's corgis, and
frolicking corgis.
and for you it's shelties.
Yeah, frolicking shelties.
So
or just any cute puppy at this stage, I'd be happy with.
Right.
Because all puppy, no matter the dog, if that's a puppy, it's always
Yeah.
cute. Puppies
All
are
right. Let's
cute.
go get some eye bleach, AJ, and and we will refresh and see each other next week.
See you next week.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Songs on the Couch. We hope you enjoyed putting today's song under the microscope with us.
And hey, the conversation doesn't have to end here. Join us over on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just search Songs on the Couch, where we're sharing behind-the-scene clips, more fun music insights, and of course, chatting with you all.
And if you're an artist, musician, psychologist, counsellor, psychotherapist, or know someone who'd love to sit on the couch with us, have your management reach out. We'd love to hear from you at hello@songsonthecouch.com.
Follow us, subscribe, and let's keep rocking out together. Catch you next time on Songs on the Couch.